Watch how I make this absolutely stunning ring out of this giant hex nut. And I shined it up to look absolutely amazing, and I made it a perfect fit on my finger. So let's get right into the video. Alright guys, so I've got this hex nut that I'm going to be using to make a ring for it. So firstly, I just need to leave one side flat, and then I will be able to sand the rest of it around, and it's going to leave quite a nice design. Then I will start shaping out the center of it and making it a better fit. Then I'll start getting rid of the threaded inserts from the center of the hex nut. Alright, so this process is just quite straightforward. I am just going to be sanding the hex nut around, and then I'm just leaving one flat on it so that it's just a nice design feature to it. However, I did not end up keeping this design, and I ended up modifying it slightly later on. But I'm just sanding down majority of the ring completely round and removing the bulk of the mass. Alright, so this is it so far. It is of course way too hot to hold. So I'm just using these pliers until it cools down. Then I can start going to the lathe and start boring out the center of that hex nut. Alright, so I just went up to my huge girder driller, and I'm just going to be getting rid of all of the mass on the inside of that ring instead of going to the lathe to bore it out. Because if I can do it with one drill bit, why not? And it'll be a lot quicker than doing it with the whole series of boring tools. So I just drilled that out completely, and I'm going to the lathe now. And this is where I decided to change my mind, because I started to surface the ring completely round, and then I will be able to start working on my design. So I've just got a circular file right there and a flat file, and I'm using the edge of the files, and I'm just moving it over the ring over and over again, filing down the material, getting it a lot thinner and getting it completely round. I'm also getting some really rough sandpaper so I can get rid of the file marks, and I'm getting ready to take it out of the lathe right now. As you can see, I sandwiched it between two other giant hex nuts and a washer. That's because I didn't want to get rid of the nut and bolt or damage it in any way, because it can still be used, and it secures my hex nut in the lathe, so it's a win-win situation. Now I can just use a giant spanner and get it out of the setup that I've got right there, and now I can go ahead and inspect it and see what I'm going to be doing next. Alright, so I just got it out of there, and I decided that I'm going to start filing down the center of this. This is just going to be a rough filing, and I'm going to do majority of the finishing work later on and getting rid of most of the material. Alright, so I have finished putting it in the lathe and filing it down. I wasn't able to use any lathe tools, but I used a file and it worked out really nicely. So I just need to sand this down the flat face and this face over there until it's gotten to my desired width, and then I will be able to start filing the flat on it and shining it up. But it's coming along really nicely so far. Alright, so I've just got a very basic setup. I've got a magnet and a bucket of water, and I stuck the ring to the magnet, and I'm just using that to surface the ring completely flat and pushing it against the sander so that I don't have to worry about it getting too hot. I also used a few gloves to help cope with the heat, and that's how I was removing the bulk of the material and getting the sides completely flat. I'm also cutting it down the center of it to reduce the thickness of it, and then I will again sand it down and sand it around to get rid of the thickness and the circumference of the ring. Alright, I got a bucket of water right here. This bucket of water I'm going to be using to cool down this, because I know that it's going to get too hot whilst I am sanding it. So I'm just going to be sanding it down now and getting it to its final shape. Alright, so I've got the ring right here, and I'm starting to sand it down. I've attached it to my magnet, and this is just a very tiring process because I've got half a centimeter thick steel right there, and I've attached it to a magnet, and now I need to sand down the bulk of all of that material by hand on the sanding machine, and then I need to make sure that I keep on getting it up at intervals so that I can cool it down. Luckily though, I don't have to file all of this steel, and the sanding machine makes this process a whole lot easier for me, but it's still a very time-consuming process. But this is the cost of metalworking. It takes a really long time to get the desired results, but once you get the results, it's completely worth it. So here I've got another set of pliers, and I'm just using that to round off the ring even more and get it to a much better finish. and it's working really nicely. But my sandpaper just wore down a lot, so I ended up needing to replace the disc, and it accidentally caught on fire. Luckily I was able to blow it out very quickly. It was just a quick moments of fright. But I was able to fix it up, change the disc, and continue sanding. Alright, here is the ring so far. It's actually looking really nice. Of course there's some discoloration because it's getting really hot. So I'll just be able to sand that down once I finish shaping it. I'm going to make one small flat on it, and I'm going to be sanding some different patterns on it to get a nice geometric shape. Then I'll be able to start polishing and finishing this up. Alright, so now have a look at this. It's actually looking so nice. Look at those little patterns and everything on the outside of the ring. I also did that on the side of the ring to match, and I got rid of the discoloration. Now I just need to sand the inside, make this a bit shinier, and then I will be able to start sizing it properly. Alright, I've gone up to 240 grit sandpaper so far. It's getting really nice. I think I'm going to go up to 500 and leave a nice matte finish, while still making it look clean and showing those patterns. So at this stage, I was just sanding down the outside of the ring, using progressively higher and higher grits while getting rid of the thickness on the inside of the ring. And this is just one of those finishing processes because the ring is slightly too thick right now. Alright, I only went up to 1000 grit sandpaper, but it's still looking really nice. I just need to sort out the inside of it and just get rid of that heat discoloration, and I shall be finished. But it's actually turning out really nice, a lot nicer than I expected. Alright, so this is actually looking really good so far. I'm just drying off all the water, getting rid of all of the steel dust, and then I'll be able to reveal this to you and start shining it up. But oh my goodness, this is looking amazing. So have a look at this. Look at this pattern. Can you see all of those indents and weird shapes on it? That's all completely intentional. But this I just need to sand down, and then I need to get it looking a little bit nicer, and then I can finish shaping the inside. But this is looking really good. Alright, so I just took it to the lathe so that I can start working on the inside of it, using a file, using some sandpaper, getting rid of all of the grit on the inside of it while making it a lot smoother and a lot more comfortable to wear. This process is also where I just sanded down all of the heat discoloration on the outside of the ring, which I also did on the sanding machine, but I decided to touch it up over here so that I could use some higher grits. And as you can see, I have finished, and I'm just removing it from the setup once again, and this ring is looking absolutely amazing. Alright, so this is finally finished. Please leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new. Also comment down below if you got any more project recommendations. I'll see you guys in the next one.